Mike, check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I did wind up keeping a good chunk of my PlayStation 4 collection. I got a comment on my channel earlier from someone who I guess is a coach on how to collect and how to, how to manage your collection. You have a lot of backseat collectors out there, and I'm really not interested in that. If you want to coach people on how to collect video games, it's very easy. You just make a YouTube channel and you just make videos showing people how to collect. Collectors have every right in the world to change their mind, change directions, decide what they want to keep and what they want to remove from their collection at any time. Heck and Steve, someone who I follow, put out a video just today talking about how he's done with retro, right? That's his prerogative, like if he decides that he wants to be done with retro, he can be done with retro. If he comes back next week and makes a new video and says, I'm back into retro, that would completely be his prerogative. It is totally within his power to decide what he wants to collect, when he wants to collect it, and how he wants to collect it. And there's just way too much like backseat collecting and policing on how people should collect. Do what works for you, collect what you like to collect. For me, when it came to the PlayStation 4, I wasn't really interested in keeping any of the mainstream titles that I had. I really just kind of wanted to keep select titles in my collection. And I do still have a healthy PlayStation 4 collection, at least in my opinion. I kept a lot of my shoot 'em ups. I kept a lot of the beat 'em ups. I kept a lot of, some of the more just kind of obscure titles. And that's pretty much what I want my PlayStation 4 collection to be made up of. So I feel absolutely great about the trades that I made earlier today. And now I'm back here this evening to kind of just wrap up the day because, like I said, I did two sets of trades. So I'm going to show you the second set of games that I got for a bunch of basically 360 and PS2 games that I traded away. I'll show you what I got for that in a second. But before I show you those games, I did just want to kind of go over some GameStop swaps that I did. So I did some GameStop purchases towards the end of April. And when they all came in, they all pretty much came in without their manual, without their case. So it just didn't work out. So I wound up bringing pretty much all of the games that weren't complete back to GameStop and swap those out with some pretty decent pickups. So I'm going to show you those first, and then I'll show you the trade. So let's first look at the swaps. So the first game that I swapped for is Hamtaro Ham Ham Heartbreak. This feels very much like a Japanese inspired, RPG type of game, where you kind of play as like this hamster running around. I'm not really sure what the main objective of the game is, but it was very unique. It was very obscure. They didn't really have a lot left at that GameStop. Most GameStops have pretty much been ravaged at this point. I think GameStop is going to need some time to recoup after the 420 for 40 and then the buy two get one. When it comes to retro, they're all pretty much desolate. So this was one game that I swapped for. Another game that I swapped for was this Game Boy Color version of Hello Kitty. I thought this was pretty interesting. This might be a game that my daughter might get into. Again, it was slim pickings. There really wasn't a lot for me to choose from, and so this was one of the best options for me. So I picked up Hello Kitty. And then they also had this one, which was pretty cool. Mortal Kombat 4. I thought that this was really interesting. These are some of the early Game Boy Color games, I think if I'm not mistaken. And they play pretty well. I've been able to test this one out, so it does work. Hello Kitty for some reason hasn't worked for me yet, so I'm going to continue to try it to see if I can get it to work, but that one hasn't worked for me. But was able to get my hands on Mortal Kombat 4, so this was another one that I traded for. And then the last game that I added to the collection on the pickup was this copy of Metroid Return of Samus. So this is actually the 3DS version of Metroid. It honestly plays a lot like Metroid Dread. I did kind of pop it in and give it a run, and it's very interesting. These Metroid games are not easy. They're not like easy playthroughs. But this is one that I went ahead and added. So swapped out a bunch of those games for these 4 games, which I'm okay with. Hopefully I can get that Hello Kitty to work. The Hello Kitty to work. If not, I'm gonna wind up having to return it because it's just not working at this point. I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, so those were the games that I did the swap at GameStop. Now let's talk about the games that I traded for. So went to, like I said, one of my local game stores, a place that I normally do business with, and they had a few games for me. Again, the pickings were slim there too. People are out. People are out and about, man. People are out and about making deals. People are buying retro games. I feel like a lot of the retro collectors and a lot of the retro just people who are into retro are very quiet with it at this point. I don't think they're loud about it. They're just really quiet. They're quietly going about and just sniping stuff. So I'll show you what I was able to pick up. First game was Blood Omen Legacy of Kain on the PlayStation 1. I've been on a PlayStation 1 run. I mean, for a while now. For like the last couple weeks, I've just been hitting PlayStation 1 game after PlayStation 1 game and picked up yet another one, Blood Omen Legacy of Kain on the PlayStation 1. This is actually in pretty good shape, and one that I'm just going to have to kind of dig into. I'm going to have to see what this one is about. It does look like an adventure game, like some type of top-down adventure game. When I look at some of the screenshots and gameplay, it feels very much like a mid-90s PC game. But I'm willing to take a chance on it and see what it's about. So this is one that I added to the collection. Then they also had a shoot 'em up. Anytime I can get my hands on a shoot 'em up, as you can see, I'm gonna go ahead and grab one. And they did have this copy of Raiden Project Longbox on the PlayStation 1. So I don't have a ton of Longbox PlayStation 1 games, and I don't think I have any Longbox jewel case PlayStation 1 games. So this might be the first. There is some damage to the jewel case there, which is a bummer, which means I'm gonna have to find a new face for the case. It is what it is. But this is an interesting one. I don't know if this is the first Raiden project in the series. I doubt it, because I feel like there was a Raiden on the NES. You gaming historians can let me know down in the comments. But this is definitely all in still a really cool one to have. It looks like it's 2 arcade games here. So interesting shoot 'em up, interesting one to have. Added that one to the collection. Raiden Project, Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. Just going nuts with these PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 1 games, man. I've just been adding them left and right. And the last game in that pickup is actually a PlayStation 2 game. This one's actually in pretty good condition. And this one is Wizardry. Wizardry Tale of the Forsaken Land on the PlayStation 2. Now, I took a chance on this one because it is an Atlas RPG. Atlas is kind of like, I don't want to say it's the GOAT of RPG games on the PlayStation 1 and 2, but Atlas has definitely developed a solid name for itself within the world of RPG games. And so this was one that I went ahead and added to the collection as well. So pretty much got rid of an entire box of games and replaced it with these 3 games. And then kind of a similar story with what I did earlier. For those of you who were not able to catch the video earlier, also picked up a bunch of PlayStation 1 games, including Chocobo's Dungeon 2, C12, Wild Number 9, Rascal, and Scalar. So yeah, just really went hard on PlayStation this time around. And then of course the swaps that I got from GameStop, but it was all good because it allowed me to kind of just get rid of a bunch of games, like a good amount of games, cleared out some space. You can probably hear how much more hollow the room feels. So it's a good thing for me. A lot of the games that I was very meticulous in how I picked out the games that I went about trading and selling today. A lot of these games were games that I can easily find again in the future should I decide to add them back. A lot of them are games that I just know I'm not going to play in the immediate future. And it just made more sense for me to take advantage of some of the deals that I knew were out there. So you guys let me know. April is starting off strong. The last 3 or 4 months, I've started each month off with solid trades, and this month hasn't been much different. I would have to say probably my favorite pickup so far of the day was Mega Man Extreme 2 on the Game Boy Color. That's a really cool game. I'm really looking forward to playing that one some more. But yeah, that does it for me. Let me know what you guys think. What are your collecting strategies for this summer? I'm interested to know, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.